Hey guys, I've had several requests on how to set up transmission using a VPN. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video today. We're going to set up transmission and we're going to set it up using a VPN. The VPN I'm going to use here is actually private internet access. They're not sponsoring this. They're not paying me for this. They don't know I'm making this, but it's a VPN that I've had in the past. I just got a new subscription to it and I've got it working with transmission here. Sorry, I had a blank moment. So we're going to set up transmission using private internet access or PIA. This should translate over to other VPN services though. So you should be able to take this information and translate it over to whatever VPN service you're using. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this. So like I mentioned, we are going to set up transmission using PIA. So in order for this to work, you will need a PIA membership or a membership with a VPN service like PIA. Again, I am going to use PIA for this. So I'm going to end up saying that a lot or referencing PIA or private internet access a few times throughout the video. So just know that when I say that, you should be able to use your VPN in place of that. So once you've got your membership, then you can move forward with the rest of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and close. I'm going to go ahead and close that for right now. Now, the one that I found that seems to be the most reliable was updated just recently, 3 days ago, as of the recording of this video, is Haojin transmission -OpenVPN. This is what we're going to use, but the only thing he's really got on here is to run this in an SSH prompt or like PuTTY or something like that. And that's not terribly helpful for those of us who like to use stacks. So I actually rewrote this as a stack to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take this information and we're going to basically use that in a stack over here in Portainer. So obviously I'm logged in. I'm just going to go over here and create a new stack. And then I'm going to grab my notes from down here. Hopefully that is the right set of notes. It is. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this in here, and then we're going to give it a name. Let me grab that, and we're just going to paste that up there. So we've got to name that in there as well. Basically everything up here, pretty standard. This is what you're going to see in basically every stack. But below that, we've got some different options here. We've added the capability of NetAdmin. That's to give it a higher privilege level to run. Below that, we've got devices. This is going to set up a tunnel. Below that, we've got volumes, and this is where our downloaded files are going to be stored. Now, this is something that we'll actually have to go in and create. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to come over to here. This is my Open Media Vault. I'm going to go over here. I'm in shared folders already. So I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm just going to call it torrents. I'm going to give it a location. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that everybody has read and write access there. And I'm going to go ahead and click save, just like that. So that's the first part, but what we need to do here is actually inspect this. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. And then we can come back over to Portainer here and we can just paste that in, which was already there, but that's what you would do for that. Of course, you'll want to go back and also add this to SMB CIFS. We'll go to shares, we'll click on add a share. We'll go ahead and do that. We'll say only guests, and we'll click save, and then we'll click apply and say yes. And we'll give that a minute to load. It can just do its thing in the background while we move on. So the next thing we've got here is going to be your environmental variables, and we're going to have several of these to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for the OpenVPN provider, again, I'm using PIA. You should be able to replace this with just about any of the supported providers. You will have to do some research on your own there. I'm not sure who all is supported here through OpenVPN, but you should be able to do some research and figure that out. Again, because I'm using PIA, we need an open VPN configuration from PIA, and what we need is a service that will support port forwarding. So what you'll have to do if you're using PIA is come to this link. I'll have this in the blog post linked in the description, but these are going to be your options for supported services or supported locations for port forwarding. You don't have to do any port forwarding on your end. It's just something that has to happen on their end. So these are the options that you can use for that when using PIA. I've chosen Spain. Of course, again, you can use any of these that are in there. Just copy and paste the line from here over to here. Should be good to go at that point. Now, the OpenVPN username and password, those are going to be the username and password for the actual VPN provider. So for me, I would enter my PIA username and password. Let's say you're using, if NordVPN is supported, you would use your credentials for that. So you're going to go ahead and put those in there. The local network, when I first put this in here, looked like that. It was 192.168.0.0/24. I've got a 1.0/24 network, so I just replaced that there. OpenVPN options, just leave those as they are. Your PUID and PGID. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos, but if you're not sure how to find those, all you've got to do, let me actually just do a clear there. All you've got to do is type in ID space admin. That is the username I'm using. You can see that up here on the top right. That is the username I'm using for Portainer. So just type in ID admin and press enter. You can see the UID is 998 and the GID is 100. So UID 998, GID 100. And then below that, we've got ports. Port 9091 is going to be the port that you'll actually access the interface on. And then port 8888 is one that it uses on its back end. And then below that, we've got DNS. This was set in there for the VPN itself. You can replace this with whatever DNS provider you'd like to use. These are Google. You could use Cloudflare if you wanted to. But those are all you'll have to do there. So once you've got all of this filled in and you've named it, then all you've got to do then, of course, is scroll down and click on Deploy the Stack. So we'll go ahead and click on Deploy the Stack, and we'll give this a couple of minutes to run. It's going to have to download and extract a bunch of things in the background. That's kind of why there's an advantage to doing this in an SSH or a shell command, because then you can actually see what it's doing line by line. When you're doing this in Portainer, of course, you're not going to see any of the stuff it's doing. But it happens pretty quickly, so there's that. So let's go ahead and open this up. It says that it's starting, so let's go ahead and click on the logs here. And we'll give this a minute to do its thing. We should know pretty quickly if it's going to work or not, so we'll give this a minute to run through its sequence here. Okay, so right here where it says checking port is open, yes, that's good. If you've got a location remember where we came back over here and we chose a location here. If you've got a location that doesn't support port forwarding, then this will fail and it won't do anything. So now what we should be able to do is come back over to here and just like that, launch our transmission instance here. This is our GUI here. So then what we can do is actually just start using it just like normal. Okay, so I've gone ahead and downloaded a torrent file, and I've downloaded it from a tracker that I've used in the past. I've done some actual testing with this morning on a couple of different setups, and both hardware and software, both for qubit torrent and transmission. So we're gonna see some different things in here, but if we come back over here, we can see that these are some different IPs from the different versions of PIA that I've been running to test different containers out. So what I'm going to do now is come over to here. I'm going to click on upload a file. I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to go ahead and open that and click upload. And then it should go ahead and start here in just a moment. Okay, so here we are. We're downloading at about 5.5 megs per second. That's not great, but that's what happens when you use a VPN. You're going to get some diminished speeds there. And then if we come over to our tracker here and I refresh, here is the one that we're downloading here on the bottom, and it is a completely different IP address from any of the other VPN IP addresses that I've been using this morning to do all of this testing. So that just shows us that everything's working the way it should, and I can guarantee that none of those are my IP address. All right, guys, there you go. There's how to set up transmission using a VPN, in this case, PIA or private internet access. A pretty simple process. I think the hardest part of it was actually on my end, and that was rewriting that Docker command to be a Docker compose that we could put in Portainer. Just took me a few minutes really, but I think that was really the hardest part of the whole thing. So hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, do me a favor and give the video a thumbs up. Also, there's a really good chance that this video is going to be demonetized based strictly on the content. So if you want to help the channel out, there's a couple of links in the description down below, both for coffee if you want to do like a one-time tip, or if you want to become a patron over on Patreon. There's a few different levels of membership that you can do there. The $5 level will give you access to a patrons-only Discord server where we can just chat about whatever you want to chat about. So I think that pretty much wraps everything up. If you're interested in this kind of content, definitely get subscribed. I've got more videos like this coming out, again, basically every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, unless something happens and I can't release a video on one of those days. But about 3 days a week, I'm releasing videos. So if you're interested in this kind of content, definitely get subscribed. And I think that pretty much wraps everything up. So as always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.